Greetings, friends. Let's dive into this confusing topic of the world is in debt, but to whom? And talk about it as if we're sitting down for a cup of coffee. The situation is quite interesting. You could even call it a tragicomedy. Think about it. The US debt has surpassed $38 trillion, Europe is at $14 trillion, and Japan is around $9 trillion. Even the oil-rich nations or manufacturing powerhouses like China are buried in debt. Total global debt has topped $315 trillion, which means it's 3 times larger than the entire global economy. Okay, we get that. But if everyone is in debt, who exactly holds all this money? The truth is this: the world doesn't actually owe this money to some outsider. It owes it to itself. But hold on, my point isn't to say everything is fine. Let's go back to the very beginning and see how this machine actually works. It all started with a war. Centuries ago, there were no credit cards or digital banking. In 1694, England was fighting France, and the gold in the royal treasury was running dry. What could the king do? He went to the merchants and said, "Lend me money now and I'll pay you back with interest from the taxes I collect in the future." This very agreement led to the creation of the Bank of England. It was a brilliant move. The state began spending money it hadn't even earned yet. In exchange, it gave people a guarantee. Today, we call that guarantee a bond. In other words, debt wasn't a sign of defeat. It became a measure of how much a government was a man of its word. If you can borrow, you are powerful. The hot potato game. Fast forward to today. Debt can be viewed as a product, and it's currently the best-selling product in the world. Everyone is lending to one another. For example, when we say America owes China, the vast majority of that debt actually belongs to Americans themselves, to banks and pension funds. China's share is just a tiny 2% slice. The whole thing turns into a game of hot potato. Japan lends to America, America lends to Europe through the IMF. Europe lends to developing nations through the World Bank. And those nations take their money and reinvest it back into US treasuries because they're safe. The money travels in a giant circle. Everyone is holding everyone else's IOU. It's like a poker table where everyone has borrowed chips from the person next to them, but nobody has any intention of leaving the table. So, who's the boss? Like any game, this one has its referees. We call them markets and central banks. Sound familiar? These massive funds and banks decide which countries can borrow cheaply and which ones will slide toward bankruptcy. Think about democracy. We choose who governs us, right? Well, it doesn't work that way here. The markets decide who stays afloat and who goes under. The strangest part is this: there is no such thing as debt-free money. That banknote in your wallet or the numbers in your bank account, hopefully with many zeros at the end, is actually the reflection of a debt somewhere else. If the debt disappears, the money disappears too. Why is this debt never repaid? When you or I have a debt, we try to pay it off as soon as possible, right? But governments don't act like us. For them, debt isn't for paying off, it's for rolling over. When an old debt is due, they just borrow new money to cover it. Think of it like a never-ending subscription system. Why? Because if the US or other giants paid off all their debt at once, it would be the apocalypse for the global economy. Government bonds, the most important safety net for banks, would vanish. Cash would dry up, everything would grind to a halt, and believe me, it would affect everyone. This is why politicians selling the "we will end the debt" dream are actually just telling fairy tales. The real goal isn't to close the debt, but to manage it and keep it in the safe zone. So, where's the catch? You might ask, if we basically owe it to ourselves, why is there so much poverty and inequality? That is the most critical point. We pay for this debt with our taxes, but those interest payments loop back around to the massive institutions and ultra-wealthy investors at the top. Essentially, the The debt mechanism has become a way to transfer wealth from the bottom to the top. So here is the core logic, my friend. After this video, I want you to see debt not as a shackle or a ball and chain, but as a survival strategy of the modern world. But at the end of the day, the foundation of this entire system is trust. If one day we all say in unison, "I no longer believe in these promises or this system," then we'll be left staring at the collapse of this invisible scaffolding. I hope this has opened your mind and added something new to your day. If so, there's no one happier than me. History has been, is being, and will be written with its past, present, and future. Let's keep using history as our guide. If you enjoyed the video, I invite you to subscribe to my channel and give it a like, my friend. I truly believe your thoughts in the comments will inspire us all. Until you drop by again, goodbye.